Welcome back, everyone. It's once again time for Actual English, and my name is, of course, Jennifer Clyde. Thanks for joining us. It's now time for Lesson 17. We're in the food and cooking category, and as I did mention, today we'll be talking about cooking, making food, preparing food. Who does not enjoy eating? I love to eat. And that is why I gained so much weight, but right now I'm working very hard to lose all that weight, but I still enjoy eating. We all do have our eating habits, we did talk about that, but today we're going to focus on, really, the actual cooking thing. So, do you cook at home? Does your wife cook for you? Does your mother cook for you? Do you cook for your family? Of course, there are good cooks and terrible cooks, so I'm just curious as to how well you cook. What is your favorite dish? What can you make? What can you fix up deliciously? So when it comes to food, if someone were to ask you, what can you make? You can probably talk about many dishes that you can put together or prepare, but perhaps you can talk about your special recipe as well. A recipe that you know, and you want to keep it a secret from everyone. Anyhow, there's much to talk about, so let's get straight into our first segment. It's time for Actual Talk.
Last night, I made some of my famous tomato soup and grilled cheese, and I'm just, thinking of the aromas still in my head now.
Wow, you're making my mouth water right now. You tend to be a bit of a good cook. You like cooking?
I would say I'm a good cook, but I'm not a chef. I have two very good friends at home who are excellent chefs.
Oh, they're
so it's
chefs.
I can't compare by any means.
Do you do most of the cooking at home though? No?
I tend to, because my wife's busy cooking separate meals for the babies, so then I'll throw something together for us.
So you tend to cook Western style dishes? Or?
Only, yeah.
Oh, only?
Yeah, she'll cook Korean style stuff.
Oh, nice. Do you like eating Korean food?
I love eating Korean food. I'm just not good at making it.
So what's the favorite dish that you like to make?
I have this great summer pasta. It's a lemon cream pasta with some sautéed broccoli and chicken.
Wow.
It's really nice.
Is that your special recipe?
That is my favorite special recipe to make for people when they come over or something.
So you like cooking for guests when they're
over?
over?
I love cooking for guests. I have like 20 to 30 people over for Christmas every year.
And you cook for all of them?
Yeah, I'll cook a big turkey, a ham, and all the fixings.
So you've got the drinks before the main meal and the appetizer
and the
cheese
desserts? Plate and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of go all out. I love entertaining. What about you?
Me, I tend to cook for a smaller group. I can't cook for 20 to 30 people. All I can cook on a large scale would be ramen. I don't think my friends would appreciate that. I like to cook little nibblies like cheese crackers and stuff, cheese platters and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I like to cook Korean food because I learned that from my mother when I was back in Australia. I can buy that anywhere here, but back at home, we used to cook it at home because there's nowhere else to buy it. So yeah, any party food like japchae and stuff like that, I tend to cook.
Oh, let's have some.
Welcome back, everyone. How did you enjoy today's actual talk between Peter and Joanne? Now, of course, they did talk about whether they like to cook or not. Peter sounds like he is a wonderful cook, although he said that he doesn't consider himself a chef. He's got a few in his family or among his friends, but he sure does sound like he enjoys cooking, making food, maybe even throwing barbecue parties for friends and family. On the other hand, Joanne, she did mention that she is not a very good cook because she does not know how to make or cook many meals. She has learned to fix a few things from her mother back in Australia. So, before we get into today's actual talk, a quick question. Now, what kind of dish or food would you say that all Koreans know how to make? I would definitely say of the many dishes, or, well, snacks, yeah, it would definitely be ramyeon. I make ramen pretty well, and I'm sure you do too, but I do have my own very special ramyeon recipe. Anyhow, all right, let's get straight into today's actual talk. All right, so today, once again, we're talking about cooking, and Peter begins by saying, last night, I made some of my famous tomato soup. So here the key word is famous, and he made what? Tomato soup. Of course, we can prepare soup. We could cook soup. We can also make soup, and that is the verb that Peter has used. Last night, I made some of my famous tomato soup. Now, just by seeing the word famous here, it means that it is a very special recipe of Peter's. So, he said, and grilled cheese. Sounds delicious. And he says, I'm thinking of the aromas. Still in my head now. Still in my head, meaning what? Yeah, it's still in here. He's still thinking about it, in other words. But if you take a look at this, he's thinking about a certain aroma. The aromas of course, the famous tomato soup and grilled cheese. The word here is aroma. Aroma. We'll go over it in just a bit, but aroma is, I guess, in other words, it means scent, fragrance, smell. Usually it's used in a positive way. If you're talking about a good smell, you can use words such as fragrance, scent, and aroma. But if you're talking about maybe bad smells, you can express it by saying odor, O-D-O-R, okay? Anyhow, the point is he is still thinking about the food that he fixed last night, and he still wants to have it. It smells so good. And then Joanne says, wow, you're making my mouth water. Now, make use of this in the future. Practice it. The whole point is make one's mouth water. Now, that means in Korean, 침이 고인다. If something sounds really delicious, if something looks really delicious, and then you have saliva forming in your mouth, you would say, my mouth is watering right now. My mouth is watering when just talking about this. Anyhow, it sounds so delicious to Joanne that she's saying, wow, I want to have your tomato soup and grilled cheese. It sounds so delicious that my mouth is watering, or you're making my mouth water. And then she says, you like cooking? The do is, of course, omitted in the beginning, so there should have been a do. Do you like cooking, or do you like to cook? But of course, the do was left out, sorry. And she just said, you like cooking? You like cooking? And then Peter said, I would say I'm a good cook. Okay, good cook, but I'm not a chef. So the words here, I am a good cook. And we have chef. Now, just in case you don't know the difference between the two. Now, Peter is saying, I am A, but I am not B. A good cook means a person that cooks well. And a chef here, in this case, is usually someone that is at a high position at a restaurant or a hotel that does the cooking, or he's in charge, okay? So he's saying, yeah, I'm okay at cooking. I have two very good friends at home who are excellent chefs. Now, let's take a look at this. They're not professional chefs. They're not actual chefs, but this is just a way of saying that they cook very, very, very well. But pay attention to at home. What do you think that means here? At home meaning at home, at my house? Actually, it could mean that, but in this case, at home means back at home, in my home country, meaning the United States. All right, back at home or at home. So he's saying, I have two very good friends in the US who are excellent cooks, excellent chefs. Joanne says, do you do most of the cooking at home? He said, I tend to. I have a tendency to. I often do. Because my wife is busy cooking separate meals for the babies. That's right. So yeah, she must be very busy. What does she do? She's busy. She doesn't have time. Now, she's busy cooking separate meals for the babies, meaning that she makes certain dishes for the babies and certain dishes for the whole family, thus adults in the house, but she doesn't have time to prepare or put together meals for Peter. Okay, she's busy making food for the babies. So then I'll throw something together for us. That's what he says. Here, let's take a look. Throw something together. What does that mean, to throw something together? throw this, throw that together. It does not mean to really throw something. In this case, it means to make. It means to make food, to cook. Let's say, for example, I'll throw something together for you. In that case, if you are talking about food, it means that perhaps I will make you a very simple snack or a very simple meal. I'll cook something for you, okay? I'll throw something for you. I'll throw in something. In that case, means to put in a certain dish as well. Anyhow, moving on, Joanne says, so you tend to cook Western-style dishes. Dishes in this case does not mean, of course, the plate. We're talking about food, okay? Well, Peter says only, meaning only Western food. She'll cook Korean-style stuff. Now, she, of course, we're talking about Peter's wife, right? So he's saying, well, I only make Western-style cuisine or Western-style meals or dishes, and my wife, she will cook Korean-style stuff, meaning things. And then, Joanne, once again, another question. Do you like eating Korean food? Oh, who doesn't, right? So Peter says, I love eating Korean food. I'm just not good at making it. So he loves to eat Korean food, but he is not good at making Korean food. He doesn't know how to cook Korean food. Joanne says, so what's the favorite dish that you like to make? This sentence could sound a bit awkward to you. It kind of does to me as well, but basically you get the idea. The gist is, what's the dish that you make very well? Okay? 가장 잘 만드는 음식이 무엇이냐? Basically. So once again, what's the favorite dish that you like to make? Perhaps she's saying, what is your favorite dish? And do you know how to make it? Well, question answered. Peter says, I have this great summer pasta. I think, yeah, most people pronounce it correctly. It's not pasta, it's pasta. It's a lemon cream pasta with some sautéed broccoli and chicken. It's really nice. Sauté, we'll take a look at the pronunciation in just a bit. Sautéed broccoli and chicken. Sautéing is just a way of cooking, okay? It's a way of preparing food. It's kind of maybe frying something very quickly in a pan. So sautéed broccoli and chicken. He's telling us about the pasta dish. And then Joanne asks, is that your special recipe? Special recipe? Okay. Now, Peter says, that is my favorite special recipe to make for people when they come over. When I have guests, I love to make it for them. He says, I love cooking for guests. I have 20 to 30 people over, meaning coming over to my place, for Christmas every year. I'll cook a big turkey, a ham, and all the fixings. So let's take a look at this briefly. Basically, simply put, he's saying, I love to make food. And yes, that pasta is my special dish, my special recipe. And I really enjoy cooking for people. So every year for Christmas, I invite about 20 to 30 people over to my place. And I really enjoy cooking for them. So he says, I'll usually cook a big turkey, 칠면조, right? A ham and all the fixings. Fixings basically here does not mean to fix something because it is broken. It is used as a noun, and it's all the things that go in a certain dish or all the decorations, everything that goes with a certain dish. Okay, moving on. Now Joanne says, so you've got the drinks before the main meal and the appetizers, right? Okay, so she's saying, oh, okay, so you have the beverages, the main meal, and appetizers already. Peter says, oh, yes, of course, and the cheese plate. He's adding some extra information. He says, oh, of course I have all of that ready. Plus, I have the cheese plate and everything. I kind of go all out. Go all out, in this case, does not mean to go outside. I go all out. In this case, it means that he does something. Right now we're talking about cooking, so I go all out, meaning I do everything related to cooking. When it comes to cooking and making food, I do everything possible, okay? He goes all the way. He goes all out. I do everything. I love entertaining. The question is, well, thrown at Joanne. So, what about you? He asks. Joanne said me, I tend to cook for a smaller group. Okay, once again, cook for a smaller group or cook for maybe a small group of people. I can't cook for 20 to 30 people. And then she says, all I can cook on a large scale would be or is, can both be used, be ramyeon. That's exactly why I said most Koreans know how to make ramyeon. It's pretty simple. We all have our own special recipes, I think. But anyhow, she's saying, I can't make lots of food like you. No, not for 20 or 30 people, but I can make food for maybe a smaller group of people. All I can cook, all I know how to cook is or would be ramyeon. That's all I know how to cook. I only know how to make ramyeon. And she says, I like to cook little nibblies, such as, or like cheese crackers and cheese platters and stuff like that. Now, she says she likes to cook. You can also use the word make or prepare. Cooking is closer to maybe boiling something in a pot, right? Using heat on a stove perhaps, but making cheese crackers, or you can also prepare cheese platters. When you want to talk about putting together maybe snacks or something very simple, try to use words such as make or put together, prepare. And when it really comes to boiling something, sauteing something, to more complicated dishes, definitely you could use the word cook. Anyhow, she likes to make nibblies. You can nibble on things, N-I-B-B-L-E. As a verb, it means to go, you're nibbling on something. And in this case, it's used as a noun. Nibblies basically are foods such as finger food, very simple snacks such as crackers, things you can chew on, okay? All right, and then let's move on. I like to cook Korean food because I learned that from my mother, yes. Learn something from someone, right? So here, pay attention. Learn so-and-so from someone. Now, she learned how to cook ramyeon or nibblies when she was back in Australia. Back at home, once again, she mentions. See? We did mention. Now, Peter did mention the word back at home. Even right now, we have back at home, or the at can be omitted as well. Back home in Australia. Back at home. We used to cook it at home because there was nowhere else to buy it. So any party food, like japchae, I tend to cook. I guess japchae isn't exactly a nibbly because it's not really chewy, but it definitely can be expressed as a type of party food, right? Usually it's celebrations or special holidays or special events in Korea, you always see japchae. So the next time you talk about japchae, try using the word party food. So japchae is a kind of party food that lots of Koreans enjoy. And yeah, now we have a basic idea of what Joanne could cook or could put together and what Peter can put together as well. Well, let's take a moment to listen to today's actual talk one more time.
Last night, I made some of my famous tomato soup and grilled cheese, and I'm just, thinking of the aromas still in my head now.
Wow, you're making my mouth water right now. You tend to be a bit of a good cook. You like cooking?
I would say I'm a good cook, but I'm not a chef. I have two very good friends at home who are excellent chefs.
Oh, they're
so it's very
chefs.
I can't compare by any means.
Do you do most of the cooking at home though? No?
I tend to, because my wife's busy cooking separate meals for the babies, so then I'll throw something together for us.
So you tend to cook Western style dishes? Or?
Only, yeah.
Oh, only?
Yeah, she'll cook Korean style stuff.
Oh, nice. Do you like eating Korean food?
I love eating Korean food. I'm just not good at making it.
So what's the favorite dish that you like to make?
I have this great summer pasta. It's a lemon cream pasta with some sautéed broccoli and chicken.
Wow.
It's really
Is that your
nice.
special recipe?
That is my favorite special recipe to make for people when they come over or something.
So you like cooking for guests when they're
Oh, I
over?
love cooking for guests. I have like 20 to 30 people over for Christmas every year.
And you cook for all of them?
Yeah, I'll cook a big turkey, a ham,
wow.
and all the fixings.
So you've got the drinks before the main meal and the appetizer
Oh, and
then
the cheese
desserts?
plate and everything. Yeah, I kind of go all out. I love entertaining. What about you?
Me, I tend to cook for a smaller group. I can't cook for 20 to 30 people. All I can cook on a large scale would be ramen. I don't think my friends would appreciate that. I like to cook little nibblies like cheese crackers and stuff, cheese platters and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I like to cook Korean food because I learned that from my mother when I was back in Australia. I can get that, I can buy that anywhere here, but back at home, we used to cook it at home because there's nowhere else to buy it. So yeah, any party food like japchae and stuff like that, I tend to cook.
Oh, let's have some.
Now, is your mouth watering or not? Are you thinking about something delicious right now? Well, hold it until the lesson is over, everyone. Okay, now let's take a look at some actual expressions, some patterns, and first of all, some vocab to keep in mind. We took a look at lots of words today, but let's practice pronunciation. So we had aroma, right? Peter was saying something about how he cannot forget about the aromas of what he had the night before, right? So aroma, as you can see, the stress goes on the second syllable. Aroma. Aroma. Some synonyms are scent, fragrance, as I mentioned, a very good smell. And then we have chef, simple to pronounce, chef, chef, as you would pronounce S-H-E-F, chef. Some other words for chef is chief cook. That is the actual definition of a chef. And also, they're also called a gourmet chef as well. In that case, the T is silent. It's gourmet, gourmet, as in M-A-Y, gourmet. And we have saute. Remember, sauteed, blah, blah, blah. It's a way of or preparing food, and it's pronounced saute, saute. It's not saute, it's saute. And recipe, you may all know, but just in case, the P sound here is recipe. It's closer to a B sound, so it's recipe, recipe. And finally, we have appetizer. Also, it's not appetizer, it's appetizer. Appetizer, okay? Appetizer. Now, I did want to point these words out to you. Now, these days, a lot of people go to French restaurants, Italian restaurants, since there are so many opening up around us. And you may see these words on the menu. So just in case, do not get lost. Here is antipasto. Probably have seen that word. Antipasto is another word for appetizer. And aperitif is another one. The stress goes right there on the last syllable. I did check out a French way of saying it is apéritif, something like that. Okay, anyhow, that's all for today's pronunciation. Let's move on to some patterns you can make use of. All I can cook is or would be, okay? Keep those in mind. And then you can just add the type of food. For example, all I can cook would be ramen. Another one, all I can cook is something special. Or something simple, sorry. And then one more. All I know how to cook is fried rice. There are plenty of ways of talking about what you can cook if you're good at it or terrible at it. So please do keep these patterns in mind and make use of them.
I really like cooking. I think that to gather everything at home, to chop things, to smell all the food that you're cooking, to boil it in the pot, to wait for it, it's sort of, in a way, a very therapeutic experience. I remember last year when I had this really bad breakup, all I would do is like cook at home. And I would make all these pastas, I would bring it to people. And because cooking for somebody is such a loving thing to do, I think that constantly cooking for somebody is your way of showing affection for them. So when you're going through a hard time or through a breakup, to remember that there are other people you love and there are still people that you can cook for and you can cook for yourself. yeah, it can be sort of a therapeutic, very enjoyable experience. Of course, I did gain a lot of weight by doing all this cooking, doing all this eating, but I still think that cooking is a really pleasant thing to do. I would like to cook more in the future, but of course, it can be a very time-consuming thing. So every now and then, I try to make sure I cook at home a couple of times a week. I think that it's a really fun thing to do, and I think that, you can also give joy to other people doing it. So I think it's a really great experience.
Thank you once again for the wonderful actual story. Now, I do have to agree with you. I really think that cooking is something very special. It is a wonderful way to show others that you care for them by putting together something very delicious. So let's check out what she mentioned. She talks about whether she enjoys cooking or not. She said, I really like cooking. You're talking about cooking, so begin talking about whether you like it or not. It's a very therapeutic experience. I love the way she explained cooking. It's a very therapeutic. Therapeutic. Think of the word therapy. That's right. We often get therapy. That's right. Now, therapeutic experience or therapeutic basically means it's kind of like a cure or treatment for something. So she's saying, yeah, cooking itself is a wonderful thing. Another one, every now and then. This means occasionally. I try to cook at home. Because it's true. If you live at home alone, you tend to go out to eat. You don't really go home to cook for yourself as often. So in that case, you can also say every now and then, occasionally, I try to cook at home. Of course, that is if you do try to cook at home. All right, job well done.
I really like cooking. I think that to gather everything at home, to chop things, to smell all the food that you're cooking, to boil it in the pot, to wait for it, it's sort of, in a way, a very therapeutic experience. I remember last year when I had this really bad breakup, all I would do is like cook at home. And I would make all these pastas, I would bring it to people. And because cooking for somebody is such a loving thing to do, I think that constantly cooking for somebody is your way of showing affection for them. So when you're going through a hard time or through a breakup, to remember that there are other people you love and there are still people that you can cook for and you can cook for yourself. Yeah, it can be sort of a therapeutic, very enjoyable experience. Of course, I did gain a lot of weight by doing all this cooking, doing all this eating, but I still think that cooking is a really pleasant thing to do. I would like to cook more in the future, but of course, it can be a very time-consuming thing. So every now and then, I try to make sure I cook at home a couple of times a week. I think that it's a really fun thing to do, and I think that, you can also give joy to other people doing it. So I think it's a really great experience.
Now, for those of you that are especially preparing to do an interview in English and just by chance you were asked to talk about cooking, what you can also possibly talk about is perhaps foods or dishes or any type of, dish you would love to learn. You can talk about taking maybe cooking lessons, what you've learned from your mother, what your mother's special recipe is, or even if you have your own special recipe, talk about that as well. But keep it a secret, okay, because it is your special recipe. Okay, that is all for today, everyone. Hope you learned a lot. I'll be joining you back next time with another food-related topic. We'll talk about our favorite foods. Sounds delicious, doesn't it? Okay, in the meantime, you can find your way over to our homepage. The address is www.ebse.co.kr, and you know what to do, right? Look for Actual English with Jennifer. All right, that is a wrap for today. Have a wonderful day, have a delicious day, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.